Welcome to the next lecture on entrepreneurship. In this lecture, we are going to talk about forms of business ownerships and we will discuss evaluating criteria for selection of a particular firm. In the words of L.H. Haney, the various forms of business ownership are as such children whose father is economic expediency and whose mother is the law. So the business ownership is going to play a vital role in development of entrepreneurship. Let us see what are the learning outcomes. To understand the various forms of business ownerships, to know about the various features of different forms of business ownership, to understand the relative advantages and disadvantages of each form of business ownership, and to know about the criteria to evaluate the different forms of business ownership. So, when we talk about ownership, we have to keep in mind that one of the first decision that an entrepreneur has to take as an owner is how the enterprise should be structured or through which form of ownership it would operate. So let us see what exactly ownership is. It determines the authority and responsibility of the owners. The legal form of business ownership is called the form of business ownership. The other parties recognize an enterprise and its existence through its form. Choosing the appropriate form for any entrepreneurial activity is very crucial as the success of enterprise depend on the selection of form of business ownership. So ultimately the success is going to be dependent upon the particular form. The form of business ownership defines the rights, liabilities of an entrepreneur, the control, lifespan, financial structure, etc. So, what are the factors to choose a particular form of business ownership? Let us see. Nature of entrepreneurial activity, size of business, degree of control expected by an entrepreneur, requirement of finance or capital, legal formalities, ease of formation, extent of liability of an entrepreneur, stability of business, secrecy of business information, and last is winding up formalities. So when we discuss a particular type of business form, you have to keep all these factors in your mind. So ultimately, when you start your new venture, you can decide on these determinants that which type of business form is best suitable for your business. Okay, so let us start. Business ownership can be categorized into two forms. First one is non-corporate forms and second one is corporate forms. So let us see one by one what are these types. Sole proprietorship or sole trade, joint Hindu family business or firm, partnership firm, limited liability partnership or LLP, joint stock company, public and private, one person company, cooperative society or enterprises. So we can divide these form into two categories, that is sole trade, joint Hindu family business, partnership firm, LLP, joint stock company, one person company, and cooperative society. So these are corporate forms and these are non-corporate form. Let us start with sole proprietorship. It is also known as sole trade, individual business or single entrepreneurship. Very popular It is established by a single individual. That's the name itself is indicating. Next, he or she invests the required amount in the business, manages the business himself, herself, bears all business risks alone, and gets all the profits. So, single owner, all the liabilities, all the profits are going to be done by him or her. Due to these unique features, William R. Bassett said that the one man control is the best in the world if that one man is big enough to manage everything. The owner of the business is known as sole trader. This individual entrepreneur is fully responsible for all business debt and liabilities. Examples of this form of business ownership are kirana stores, local restaurant, and home-based businesses, etc. In this form of business, entrepreneur has unlimited liberty to run his business as because he is the single owner. Entrepreneur may select any type of business without meeting any legal formalities except those in which license may be required from the government bodies like health department, the municipal authority or some other bodies. So what are the benefits? Very easy to start. Why? Because there is no need to complete any legal formalities except those cases where license is must. For example, to start a medical store, you have to get license from the health department. Quick decision making, another advantage, because one man is going to manage all the business activity, so he or she is going to take decision in very quick manner. Sole trader is free to change his business at any point of time because he is the only owner and there is no other person involved in that business, so he can change at any moment of time. No outsider can get the secret information of the business like profits, losses, customers, and assets, as every information rests with the owner only. Direct motivation is there in this form of business as owner solely takes all the profits and bears all the losses and risks. Sole trader can maintain personal relation with customers to know more about their taste, likes, and dislikes. It provides training to run medium and large scale business to individual owners. So ultimately, benefit is that the owner is going to take all the decision in very quick time. He can change the business and any time he can switch the business. Okay. So next is the most important thing that it can be started with minimum investment. Okay, now coming on to the disadvantages. The biggest disadvantage is the unlimited liability. Owner's personal property can also be utilized to meet the debts of the business. Due to individual ownership, limited capital and sources are available for the business. Limited managerial support is available for this form of business as one man can never have all the managerial skills. Okay. The stability of business is always questionable as owner can close his business at any point of time. So whatever benefit is there, the disadvantage is coming out of that also. Moreover, death of owner also leads to the closure of the enterprise. Sometimes business suffer from losses due to individual and hasty decision. So quick decision making is the benefit, but at some times that may lead to losses. It suits only for few businesses like shops, restaurant and small businesses, etc. Next is joint Hindu family business or firm. So the business enterprise which is run by the group of people belonging to the same family is known as joint Hindu family business or firm. This form of business is operated according to Hindu law, where all the family members, including unmarried daughters and wives, are the members of the business. In simple terms, let us understand joint Hindu family business is that form of business which is carried by all the members of joint Hindu family under the control of Mukhya, and Mukhya is what? Head of the family. Mukhya or manager is known as Karta and members are known as co-partners. We will see later in detail. So this form of business ownership is based on the two facts. Let us see. Co-partnery. It means common ownership. That is, in the ancestral property, the common ownership is there. As per co-partnery, an individual have a right in the family property and can ask for his or her share. This individual is known as co-partner. Next one is common property. According to Hindu law, joint Hindu family possesses a common property which is used for the welfare of all the members of the family. Common property includes ancestral property, property created through ancestral property, and personal property treated as family property. Let us see. There are two community controlling Hindu families as per Hindu law, Mitakshara and Dayabhag. Let us see what exactly Mitakshara is. It is a popular in country except Assam, Bengal and some part of Odisha. Under this, what is happening? With the birth, a son gets right in the ancestral property. So in this community, with the birth, a son is getting the right. In Dayabhag, the if we talk about this, a son gets right in the ancestral property only after the death of the father, and it exists in Assam, Bengal, and some part of Odisha. So let us see what are the characteristics. It is operated according to Hindu law, controlled and managed by Karta, that is the Mukhya. The liability of all the members or co-partners except Karta is limited up to the individual's interest in the ancestral property. The liability of the Karta is unlimited. This form of business is easy to start as there is no need of any registration. Shares of the family members may increase or decrease with the birth of new member or death of existing member. This is more permanent form of business than sole trader as there is not effect of any death on the business. Now coming on to the next one, that is partnership firm. To overcome the limitation of older form of business, that is joint Hindu family firm or sole traders, lack of capital, limited skills, etc., a new form of business is available, that is partnership firm of business ownership. It is that form in which two or more than two individuals willingly join together and start some lawful entrepreneurial activity. A partnership firm is an association of two or more persons who run business together for the objective of profit earning. Next, according to the Section 4 of India Partnership Act 1932, partnership is the relation between persons who have agreed to share the profits of a business carried on by all or any of them acting for all. Okay. So based on this definition, it can be said that partnership is a kind of agreement, an agreement between whom? Two or more than two persons to run the business and divide the profits of the business among themselves. Okay. These persons are known as partners and their group is called firm. And the name under which they run their business is known as the name of the firm. Now, what are the features or characteristics? Let us see. To establish a business under partnership form, there is a need of two or more than two persons. The Partnership Act does not fix any limit on the number of partners, but as per Companies Act, the number of partners cannot be more than 10 in banking business and 20 in any other business. If the number of partners reduces below 2 and more than 10 or 20, then business is declared illegal. Okay, and we are talking about under the Indian Partnership Act 1932. The existence of partnership firm comes from contract between members and not from status. It is important to have a contract between partners to be a legal firm. The agreement or contract between partners is known as the partnership deed. There must be an agreement between partners for what? To share profit or loss, as profit is the main motive of any business. Each partner is responsible collectively or individually for all the liabilities of partnership. Hence, in partnership form of business ownership, liability of the partners is unlimited. Okay, it is very easy to form a partnership firm as there is no legal binding on registration of a firm. Agreement may be oral or written. If partners want to register their firm, the procedure is very simple. This form of business is flexible in nature. If partner want to change their business, it can be changed. Due to unlimited liability, partners put their whole heated efforts to run their business. Okay. Due to limited number of partners, partnership firm may not raise much capital as other forms like companies can generate. In partnership, a partner cannot transfer his interest or share in the firm to outsiders without the consents of all partners. Future of partnership firm is always uncertain. So uncertainty is there. It may come to an end on the death of any partner and insolvency of any partner, etc. This form of business is suitable for small scale businesses and for those which required less capital investment. To overcome the limitation of partnership firm, limited liability partnership was introduced. Let us see. It is popularly known as LLP, and it is well recognized form of business ownership. Introduced by an act, and that act is Limited Liability Partnership Act 2008, and it was notified on 31st March 2009. It combines the advantages of both partnership and company form of business organization. LLP form of business enables entrepreneurs to combine professional knowledge and entrepreneurial skills. So it is an alternative to traditional partnership, and traditional partnership has a limitation, that is unlimited liability and limited managerial skills, and LLP overcomes this. It enables professional knowledge and skill to combine, organize, and operate entrepreneurial activity in an efficient manner. So let us see characteristics of limited liability partnership. It is governed by LLP Act 2008. Provisions of partnership firms are not applicable. Okay. Next, it is a separate legal entity. So we can say that it exists in the eyes of law. It is an artificial person, being invisible, intangible, having no body, mind, and soul. So as per the act, there should be at least two partners to start entrepreneurial activity. No maximum limit on the number of partners. At any point of time, number of members reduces below 2, then and LLP carries its business, then the time limit is fixed at 6 months, the partner who carries the business more than 6 months shall be personally liable, okay, for the liability of LLP for those obligations of LLP incurred during that period. So for that, suppose 6 months, more than 6 months, if LLP is running, the partner who are running the business or who carries the business will be liable. It has perpetual succession. Any change in its partners shall not affect its existence like ordinary partnership form. This form of business is more similar to company form of business. The liability of partners in LLP is limited up to the capital contribution of the partners. Continuing, LLP shall have at least two designated partners who are individuals and one of them shall be the resident of India. In case of an LLP in which all partners are body corporate, at least two nominees of such bodies shall act as designated partners. LLP is formed to carry out business or profession with a motive of profit earnings, and partners are free to manage the business directly, unlike shareholders. Provisions of Companies Act on National Company Law Tribunal designated partners identification number DPIN and registrar of companies have been made applicable to limited liability partnership. Central government may further notify the provisions of Companies Act to any LLP. In LLP, designated partner identification number is mandatory for designated partners of LLPs. Formation of LLP is simple as compared to companies, but not as easy as in the case of sole trade and partnership. LLP Act 2008 provides flexibility to the LLP to manage and operate its business. Partner can decide the operation and ways of business. In LLP, it is easy to join or leave LLP, and partners can transfer the ownership according to the provisions and terms of the LLP agreement. It can attract finance from private equity investors and financial institutions, etc. Number of statutory compliances in LLP are limited as compared to company form of business. Next is joint stock company. According to H.L. Haney, a joint stock company is a voluntary association of individuals for profit, having a capital divided into transferable shares, the ownership of which is condition of ownership. Company form of business ownership is a group of people which is incorporated under Companies Act 1956. Many people jointly invest capital in a company. Therefore, it is known as joint stock company. The capital of a company is divided into transferable shares. What does it mean? It means share can be bought and sold. Liability of a members is limited. Company is a separate legal entity and its business is run through common sale. Existence of a company is continuous or perpetual and separate from its members. In simple words, what we can say, shares of company are transferable and life of company is not affected by the entry and exit of its shareholders. So let us see what are the characteristics. It is an incorporated or registered association group of person. Minimum number is 7 to form a public company, while minimum 2 persons can form a private company. It is known as artificial person as it is created by law. It is a separate legal entity and it is free from its shareholders. It can buy property in its name and can enter into agreements. It has a perpetual succession. Means what? Existence of a company is not affected by the life of its member, and that is why it is said that member may come and go, but company goes on forever. Due to separate legal entity, liability of its shareholders is limited to the nominal value of shares subscribed by the shareholder. Next, it is an RC, as we have seen, artificial person, so as it cannot put its signature. Companies Act provides the right to use a common seal, and common seal is a special seal bearing the name of the company and it remains in the possession of its secretary. To make any document legal, it is compulsory to have the common seal along with the signatures of at least two directors. Actions or activities of a company are determined through two main documents. And what are these documents? Memorandum of Association and Article of Association. Company cannot go beyond these two documents. So these two are mandatory documents. A company can raise huge amount of capital by issuing shares and debentures in the market. Due to huge capital, a company can also utilize the services of experts like specialized managers and company secretary, etc. Unlike sole trade and partnership firms, risk is divided into number of shareholders. In this sole trade and partnership, the members or the person who is the owner of the trade is liable. Okay. So the formation of company is a difficult and expensive task. So many formalities are required to complete before start of the business. Since a company is an incorporated registered body, it has to follow many provisions and rules of different acts. Company form of business organization is very popular and suitable, especially for large scale businesses. Winding up of the company is also very difficult and a very lengthy procedure has to be followed to wind up the company. So what are the categories? Two categories. One is private, another one is public. So let us see what exactly private company is. According to section 3(1), the third point of the Companies Act 1956, a private company means a company which through its article of association, the thing are mentioned here, restricts its member to transfer its shares, put limit on the number of members, that is minimum 2 and maximum 50, restricts public to subscribe its share and debentures, minimum paid up capital of 1 lakh rupees, amount is subject to change from time to time as per the law. Any other restriction imposed by the government time to time through Company Act. While if we talk about public company means a company which is not private. It means a company which does not restrict its member to transfer its shares, does not put limit on maximum number of its members, invites public to subscribe its shares and debentures, minimum paid up capital of 5 lakh rupees and it is subject to change from time to time as per government notification. Any other restriction imposed by government time to time through Company Act. Now coming on to one person company. The concept of one person company or OPC is provided in the provisions of New Company Act 2013. This form of business ownership provides the benefits of a company form of business to an individual also. As we have seen earlier, the Companies Act 1956, there is at least minimum two numbers are mentioned there. Okay, so OPC is a company in which an individual holds the whole of the share of capital with other members. As per provisions, one person company means a company which has only one person as member. It can be formed by only a natural person who is an Indian citizen and resident of India. We are talking in context of India, different form of business. So what is the limitation? The person must be an Indian citizen and resident of India. Now coming on to the characteristics, it is an incorporated entity. It may be registered with one person. The liability of the sole shareholder shall be limited up to capital contribution unless business is not run in malified manner. One person company is managed by the owner or his representative. There should be at least one director of OPC. OPC will meet all the statutory requirements as prescribed in the Companies Act, and it provides opportunity to small entrepreneurs and professionals like chartered accountants, lawyers, doctors, etc. to enjoy the benefits of a company form of business. Along with corporate entity, It provides advantages like quick decision making and business secrecy, etc., because only one person is involved in managing all the affairs. Due to one man control, life of OPC is uncertain. As we have seen earlier also, this is the basic limitation of all form of business in which only one person is involved. It suits to professional activities and small businesses. Now coming on to the cooperative enterprise. It is a voluntary association of group of persons who have joined together to promote their common interest. The basic difference between cooperative enterprise and other forms of businesses is that along with business principles, it follows the principle of serving members of the enterprise. Cooperative enterprise is formed and registered under Cooperative Societies Act 1912 or under the Concerned State Cooperative Societies Act. Okay, it works under the motto one for all and all for one. Example of this form of business ownership are like agriculture cooperatives, marketing cooperatives, and consumer cooperatives, etc. Now, what are the features? As we have seen earlier, voluntary association of person belonging to homogeneous group. Membership of cooperative enterprise is open to all and there is no limitation on the number of members. It works for the common interest of all the members of the cooperative enterprise. The prime motive of the cooperative firm is service of members. Members of the cooperative contribute capital in the form of shares. It is a separate legal entity and has perpetual life and is not affected by the entry and exit of members. Cooperative firm's profit is distributed among its members in the form of dividend. Members of the cooperative perform the managerial task in democratic manner. It is very important. Okay, so here democracy, principle of democracy is followed. Liability of its member is limited to the capital contribution. Most of the finance is contributed by state or central government to cooperative enterprises. Gets exemption from tax on their earnings. So we can summarize, an entrepreneur has to select a form of business ownership to initiate his or her entrepreneurial activity. We have discussed various forms of business ownership along with their distinct features. Suitability of form of business ownership is dependent on various factors as we have discussed like nature of business, expected control, liability of owner and ease of formation, ease of exit and lifespan and so on. No particular form is best in all cases and selection of a particular form is depending on the entrepreneur's choice. But once a type of form of business is selected, then it is very difficult to change and choose a new form. So it is a necessity to decide prior before starting your business activity which form of business you are going to start. So the decision should be evaluated on the above given parameters. As we have seen earlier, if an entrepreneur wants to start a small business and financial requirement of business is small, sole trade and partnership forms are suitable. But if size of business is large and financial requirement is also huge, company form of business is best. As we have seen in the previous discussion that what are the characteristics of sole trade and partnership and how company is different from them. Before taking any decision on form of business ownership, entrepreneur must evaluate each and every aspect of business on their merits and demerits. And we already know what are the merits, what are the advantages, and what are the disadvantages or demerits of a particular form of business. These are the references. Thank you for watching.